Excuse me as I kiss the sky.
You are now listening to the God Queen podcast.
Hey guys, it is your girl Soncerae here. Welcome to the God Queen Live. I appreciate you listening to me on Spreaker as well as Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. I am currently taking my long hour drive somewhere. I'm not going to tell you exactly where, but I'm taking it somewhere. It's 9:30 a.m. here in Northern California. And of course, maneuvering around San Francisco and the Bay Area, the traffic gets ridiculous, okay? Like, the traffic is like, ugh. Like, the commute to work and back is so much. I can't wait till I find me a decent remote job. That's what I'm looking for, a remote job. And a lot of jobs here in Northern California are IT, of course, and they're starting to have more jobs that you only have to go to work maybe twice in the week, and then the rest you have to, you get to stay at home. When I was living in Atlanta, I think maybe 2014, at the beginning of 2014, I had been working for Delta for about 2 years, and I worked remotely from home. I barely went to the office. I think I went to the office maybe once a week. And I was doing like some type of dispatch work for technicians with Delta. So I got to stay home a lot and just, dispatch work to other technicians and engineers and stuff. So I loved that job at Delta. That was actually a pretty decent job. I loved it. So anyway, if you are the black woman you think you are, I wanted to talk about that specifically because a lot of black women believe that they are good black women. And of course, it's okay to think that. It's a plus to have confidence in yourself as a woman. That makes a hell of a lot of sense. But in the eyes of men, are you classified as a good black woman? Now, there is no general, blueprint of what a good black woman is, because, and especially to men, because each man has something different that they admire about women. And there are some men out there who love women with short hair, long hair, tall women, short women, women who wear weave. I know men who love women who wear weave. It's men out there who love women who have dreads or braids. It's men out there who love women who just have their hair permed. So it's different types of things that men like as far as physical appearance and as personal characteristics as well. Like, some men want women who have graduated from college. Some men, that's neither here nor there to them because they feel like they're providers and they don't need for their woman to have an opinion or to be intellectual. And it was interesting to me the other day while I was doing my side hustle. I have a couple of side hustles, and I was out having a conversation with this guy who had, bought my services, and he was a white guy, and he was talking about how his girlfriend isn't independent, and there are so many things that she doesn't know how to do as a woman, especially in regards to physical labor. And I was explaining to him how self-sufficient I am because I have no choice, because I don't necessarily have a man around that I can just sit around and ask him to do things for me. I have to literally get stuff done, or I have to go out there and pay somebody to do it. And for me, it just seems easier just to learn how to do things instead of just relying on another person to do it for me. And that includes plumbing or like electrical work or something that has to do with my house. It's me up in Home Depot, or it's my mom up in Home Depot when I was a kid, doing all of this stuff. My mother did it around the house often. I mean, even when she was, with my stepfather, my mother still was very, very self-sufficient and resourceful. So I just learned to be independent. And so as I'm hearing this guy complain about the woman in his life and how she is not as dependent as he would prefer her to be, I hear men who are African American who actually have an issue with women being as independent as they are, black women as independent as they are. And what's interesting to me is sometimes I feel like there's a lot of pressure inside of relationships as far as African American women go, where we are asked to display a level of femininity, which is also supposed to harbor vulnerability, but at the same time, we're expected to also be independent as well. But either way, we're dragged for both. Vulnerability for women, like if we cry in front of men, we're classified as weak. If we complain about the things that we want in our relationship that we're not getting, we're classified as clingy or needy or something like that. But if we, turn around and tell a man, hey, I don't need you to pay for my hair, I don't need you to pay for my nails, I don't need you to pay for my car note, a lot of guys that feel like, hey, she's too independent, she doesn't necessarily need a man, and we don't want a woman that's like that, that's just going to go out there and control everything. And so it's a balance that is difficult for a lot of women to have, because for us, being independent, African American women, when we display a level of independence, people tend to automatically believe that that's a masculine trait. And a lot of men don't want women who are independent. But then again, there are some really, really strong alpha males out there that don't necessarily want like this weak woman who doesn't know how to go out there and get things for herself. Just like I said, this guy, was. And so, I feel like a lot of the negative character traits that a lot of men don't like about African American women, they actually brought to fruition by consistently complaining about it or putting us in a position to where we had to fend for ourselves. Because that's the reason why a lot of women who are African American are masculine, because we've had to go out there and be fathers to our children, because the fathers that were supposed to stick around and be stand-up guys just decided that they wanted to dismiss themselves and not father their children. So we got to turn around and be mothers and fathers to our children, and still we get blamed for it. We get blamed for sticking around our kids and mothering our kids and fathering our kids. We get blamed for why we were abandoned or left behind. And for this to happen to African American women so much, I'm surprised that any woman outside of our race would consider dating an African American man, when our race is the number one race inside of the United States who has men that continuously keeps abandoning their children. Now, it's men of all races that abandon their children. And like I said before, most of the single mothers I know in Northern California aren't even African American, number one. And number two, they're divorced. So I tell women all the time, being married does not save you. A lot of women feel like marriage is the be-all and it's going to stop them from a man abandoning them. No. Even when we were young, like say for instance in the 80s, of course, we had friends that we went to high school with where their parents were getting divorced and then their father would just disappear from the situation. They were married, but he still ended up disappearing and abandoning his children. I know plenty of people who I was friends with in Washington, D.C. when their parents got divorced. Their father ended up like leaving and remarrying and forgetting that they even existed. Like his former wife and his kids existed. He would just completely X them out his mind. So of course, to me, I've seen it from both perspectives. But what's happening is black women are out here left to be single mothers and having to have all of these masculine traits because we have to fend for ourselves and shit like that. And we're the most disrespected women on the planet. I mean, Jesus Christ, I'm seeing clips of I saw a clip of these two guys attacking this group of black women at a gas station, and someone is filming it, and I'm thinking to myself, I hope this isn't a black man filming this instead of jumping in trying to stop this disrespect towards black women, because these Asian guys or non-black men were literally beating the crap out of these black women. And of course you don't necessarily know the backstory of the situation, so you can't really be like, oh, it's the black woman's fault or it's the gas station owner's fault, because you really don't know the situation. So for me, I didn't want to jump to conclusions when I saw it, but at the same time, these women shouldn't have to be fending for themselves to begin with. I'm looking at the clips like, where the men at? And every time I see a woman getting beat on by a man of any color, I'm wondering where the other men at to jump in and say, hey, you shouldn't hit a woman. But what I've noticed about a lot of African American women who have been abandoned by men and are raising children alone, a lot of times people turn their nose up at us, but they turn their head the other way when they see a non-black woman who is a single mom. And they also turn their head away when they see a non-black woman who's a single mom who has a mixed race child. Black men are also abandoning women of non-black women. They're doing that as well. I think a lot of times, we as black women tend to think that black men go out here and treat women of other races a lot better. When no, a man of any race, if he's just a bad guy, he's just going to be a bad guy to every woman across the board. It isn't, that you're going to be cherished and respected simply because you're not black. No, they're going to turn around and they're going to do, these negative things to these women as well. It's not going to be like some big difference, and so I noticed that. And a lot of these single moms who are non-black got to realize that with their mixed children, that these men were going to go out there and make them single mothers as well. I think a lot of non-black women fetishize black men because, black men have this swag to them. Black men are supposedly good in bed. Black men have all of this passion. So a lot of the time, I think women who have never experienced black men want to experience, they want to know what it's like. And honestly, I want to be the one to say, hey, black men are like really hard to deal with, and they don't do a lot of self-reflection. They don't look at themselves and want to improve. They just want to blame the rest of the world for why they have disadvantages or why they aren't on the same playing field as men of other races. And I believe a lot of them just don't want to buckle down to conformity. They don't want to respect authority. And in order for you to be able to learn something, or in order for you to become the master of anything, you really have to sit still and let yourself be taught. And a lot of times, I don't think black men feel comfortable with being taught or being subordinate. You know what I mean? And I think black women are more comfortable with doing that in educational settings, at our jobs and stuff like that. And we look at authority figures and learn stuff from them, whether they are black or not. We learn how to do our jobs, and we learn how to, just chill out and be taught. And I think that black men just don't feel comfortable with that. They feel like the white man is trying to oppress them, and the white man wants all of this control. And the only time they can get control over anyone who is black is if they're dealing with a black woman, because black women are oh so nice to to white men. But what I've noticed as I'm living in the Bay Area in San Francisco is a lot of white men. It's a lot of Indian men. It's a lot of Chinese and Japanese men. It's a lot of different types of men that are non-black. And when I'm dealing with them, they seem to have a level of respect for me off break, just being as though I'm a woman. They don't look at me as if I'm a black woman, so I should get less respect than a woman who is of another race. Or they feel like they don't feel like I'm less beautiful than a woman of another race. They just see my beauty and just are just naturally respectful of me, and they give me compliments and things like that. Living in a predominantly black area, when I did live in Georgia, I did notice that a lot of black men were like giving me compliments, but they were more of like from a sexual nature. You know what I mean? They didn't want to know about my intellect. They didn't want to know what my goals and aspirations were. They didn't want to know what, I brought to the table. They didn't want to know the core of who I was or what my character was. They just looked at my outside appearance and had a sexual attraction to me. And so what I noticed about men who are trying to date me here, they want to get to know who I am as a person. Yeah, I'm beautiful. Yeah, I could be classified classified as fuckable, but at the same time, am I worth his energy? This is what these men are out here trying to figure out. When they get to hollering at me, they talk to me very different in California than I was spoken to in Georgia. It's so different. Like, I don't know. It's just, I guess it's because it's a different hustle here, and everything is about partnership here. And people are not walking around here just willy-nilly trying to have all of this casual sex. They're looking for someone to have fun with, someone to also survive with. They want a partnership. And so I could respect that. They want someone who's mentally in a good place and prepared to live life. No one wants to, be with someone here. No one wants to be with someone that they could just pass time with. I don't think people have time for that because the hustle is different here. And like I said before, and I was explaining this to someone earlier, that in Georgia, people look at millionaires as if they are like some spectacular human being. But on this side, in California, in Northern California, everybody is a millionaire. So your expectations of yourself and your standards have to be a lot higher. You have to aim a lot higher. And that's why I love this place. Because in Georgia, like say for instance, you got celebrities walking around there, Black Hollywood, the cost of living is cheaper. It might be getting a little bit more expensive because people are moving there, but it's not as expensive as living in the Bay. I mean, everyone is basically living in $1 million home. Everyone is a millionaire if you look around, and the standard of living here is millionaire status. You got to work really, really hard to make sure that you stay above water. You can't fuck around here. It's not a game. So too many people are too focused on becoming better people. It's like people are super motivated here. So the men are very, very different. The men are like, they have their head on straight, man. It's just a different tax bracket, a different way to view things. And so anyway, men come to me with a level of respect towards me, especially when I'm working. I mean, they admire the fact that I can work, and they love my independence and resourcefulness. And me having that type of strength is a plus adding on towards my femininity. It isn't something that my strength isn't like a turnoff, or me being independent isn't a turnoff. It's more of something that's attractive to them, and I like that. Now, don't get it twisted. I can't be walking around here all masculine and shit with some baggy pants on and some Timberlands and walking around here talking and acting like a man. I don't think men will be attracted to that. But I do feel like a lot of the characteristics that a lot of black men think that's unattractive, maybe I heard it somewhere online, or maybe I seen someone say it somewhere. They definitely don't have that here. It's just not that. And so anyway, as I've been dating and I've been looking around, I don't know what's going on with my voice. Like, I've been losing my voice. I haven't really wanted to record or do my podcast in a while because I just haven't really been in the mood to even do it. I've just been so busy, and I had a couple of deaths that my family and friends are dealing with, and I just been emotional, and I just haven't really felt like applying myself. And for some reason, because I haven't done public speaking in a while, my voice is reflecting that. Like, I haven't done any motivational speaking, I haven't done any podcasts really, and it's like my voice, I can tell my voice is starting to, I don't know, crack or something like that. Anyway, so if you are the woman that you say you are, say for instance, as a black woman, you're educated, you're financially stable, you're all of these wonderful things, and then you get in a relationship with a man, okay, and this man leaves you for another woman, and of course it hurts you, but don't think that this man is leaving you because you're an African American woman or you have certain characteristics that aren't appealing to men across the board. Because like I said in the beginning, each man has something different that he likes about a woman. Like each man has a definition of the perfect woman in his mind. And each man has the definition of what his match would be in his mind. Okay, so every man is different. So if you think you are like this amazing woman and you got all of these wonderful things going on, you're educated, your finances are in gear, you good in bed, you beautiful, you take care of yourself, you eat right, whatever it is, and then you get in a relationship with a guy and he's cheating on you, or he's lying to you, or he's leaving you for another woman. If you are as good of a woman as you think you are, he is going to regret leaving. So the last thing that you need to do is the behaviors to pin revenge on him, like getting revenge or making him jealous or begging him to stay or anything like that. Those three things right there are unnecessary, because with time, after he has observed his own behavior and after he's went out there, go looking for whatever it is that he thinks he wants, and then he starts doing some inventory on the women that he's chosen and his past, he'll start to see the type of woman that you were. And of course, it's hurtful. And I'm speaking from experience. I'm not just saying this. I'm speaking from experience. You guys know I was broken up with during my pregnancy. And instead of me sticking around chasing this man, I moved 2,000 miles away from him. And I think that surprised him. I think he thought I was one of those weak bitches that was going to chase my baby daddy up and down Atlanta streets. I wasn't about to do that. I'm like, okay, well, clearly you don't know what you have. Clearly you don't get it yet, and I'm not about to sit here and force feed it to you. What's going to happen is you're going to go out here and you're going to think something is better out there for you, and you're going to start comparing women to me and comparing me to your exes and doing all of this crazy shit, and you're going to realize that you made a poor decision because you was the best version of yourself while you were dealing with me. See, men tend to enjoy how women make them feel. Women too. Women love being in a relationship with a man who makes them feel good about themselves. Of course, you want a man who adores you, who worships you, who thinks you're intelligent and amazing and all of these good, positive things. And of course, that makes you feel good, right? You feel good. But that's unconditional. That's unconditional. Like, you can't rely on somebody else's feelings towards you and have those things determine whether you're going to be happy inside of your relationship or not. Because there's no reason in the world why anyone who is as fickle as a human being will keep you as their object of attention forever. Like, sometimes relationships get bad, sometimes relationships get old, sometimes they get boring, sometimes people look out into the world and they think the grass is greener on the other side because they aren't necessarily looking at themselves the way that they should. Like, anytime, put it like this, perspective is reality, right? Perspective is reality. So if someone has a negative perspective of reality, all of their relationships are going to be bad. All of their friendships are going to be bad. They're going to hate their job. They're going to have all of this low energy because that's their perspective of reality. But when you're a positive person and you're looking out into the world and you see a person that you're interested in, have you noticed at the beginning of the relationship, you start focusing on all of the positive things that this person does, all of the things about you that about them that you love, and you focus solely on those things. Even if you get a red flag, even if you get something that you don't like, you start weighing the pros and cons. The stuff that you used to think was so cute about that person, with time it starts getting on your nerves. Have you noticed that inside of a relationship? Have you noticed that a lot of times the things that you overlooked that was only bothering you a little bit, they start bothering you a whole lot after time, because now you're starting to do like this comparison. Now you're starting to sit there, instead of focusing on all of the things that made you fall in love with this person to begin with, now you're starting to look at other things. Like, okay, I want to compare this to this woman, or I don't like the way that they cook. I like the way that my ex cook. Or there's this girl on Instagram. I love the way that she wears her hair. I wish my girlfriend wore her hair like that. You start doing things like that, and instead of realizing that your perspective of reality or your energy itself has changed and shifted into something a little less positive than it was, you start thinking that ending the relationship will make you more happy, or getting rid of this person will make you feel good. And usually when a person has a negative perspective of their relationship, a lot of times it has something to do with them and not the person that they're pinning all of this shit on. Like with my son's father, let me give you an example. He was a piece of shit from the beginning, right? He was doing a whole bunch of lying. He was doing a whole bunch of, deceptive, manipulative stuff, right? But the hard thing that a lot of people have when they get out of these relationships, the hardest thing that people have to do, that they tend to not do, is look at the reasoning behind the relationship and why it's over, and then take accountability for what they did wrong inside of the relationship. And a lot of times it's very difficult for a human being to accept the negative things about themselves. It's very hurtful to look in the mirror sometimes and realize that there's something that you had to work on that you had no idea that you have to work on. Or there might be something that you've been trying to change, that you've been struggling to try to change, and you can't, because it's like one of those habits that you had. So with my son's father, he had always been a deceiver. He'd always used his charm and deception to get people to believe he was a different kind of person. And this is a conversation that he and I did have, where he was talking about how deceptive he was and how he was always the worst one out of all of his friends, but he had made everyone believe that he was the innocent one when he really wasn't. But because of his charm and deception, and he was just the one that he knew how to manipulate the best, he was the one that was always viewed as innocent, because he knows how to lie. He knows how to manipulate. He knows how to fool the feeble-minded. So, of course, for him, he's been doing that his whole life. He's been hiding how he feels, what he thinks, what he wants, just so he can appease the people around him and get some type of social acceptance. And so when he and I ended up in a relationship, and he started doing all of these horrible things, and he had been doing the horrible things from the beginning, and I always saw the positive in him, and I pushed the positive to the forefront. And all of the positive things about him, I always focused on. And any of the negative things that he had to work on, I always said to myself, he's working on it one step closer every day. He's becoming a better person. I don't have to continuously keep focusing on the negative shit that he's doing. I just don't have to do that, because I'm weighing the pros and cons, and there's so many good things about him. So the kind of person that I am, I always focus on the positive. I always do that, because if I was a conditional person, if I always allowed conditions to be the reasoning why I was happy or having a good experience, I'd never be happy. I'd never stay happy, because there's so many things that are outside influences that could take my happiness away, or that could have me looking at a situation in a negative way. So instead of me allowing outside forces to control my life or control my relationship, I myself just think of it in a positive way and try to just think of the good of the situation, because it's easy to get focused on the negative. And once you get focused on that one negative thing, then other negative things that might not even be that bad, you start being petty and start putting a magnifying glass on it when it's not even that bad. So for me, I just like to be positive. And so as my son's father was losing self-esteem because he couldn't do certain things, he couldn't go certain places, he couldn't wear certain things, he couldn't eat certain things, he couldn't go out the way that he used to, because he did realize that, hold up, wait, I don't even have as much money as I thought. That little bit of money that I was making, that's nothing in comparison to how much money I'm going to need to raise a child. So of course, suddenly when I got pregnant, he started to do some self-evaluation, like, oh shit, like maybe I'm not ready for this. And this is when his security level started depleting. And instead of facing the facts, facing the reality, which is very difficult for people to do, like I said, facing reality is very hard. as a deflection and as a distraction away from having to work on yourself, what he did was try to make it seem like all of these things were so bad about me, and this was bad and that was bad, and I did this and I did that, when I didn't do any of these things. But this was his coping mechanism. This is what he needed to do to cope with his own failures and his own, misfortune. And that's what people tend to do all of the time. And men do it all of the time more often. A lot of times men are doing a lot of screwed up stuff because they don't want to necessarily deal with the reality of their situation. So they do a whole bunch of acting out and a whole bunch of things that could be ugly because it's a coping mechanism. And they're doing it over and over and over again. And it's like hurting women. It's men out there that have left a trail of just heartbroken ass women because they were sitting here playing games and it was just going through causing all of this terror and destruction in the lives of a whole bunch of other people because they didn't sit down and do self-reflection and improve on themselves before they ended up with another woman, because their coping mechanism is to go out here and have temporary relief. Temporary relief is going out here having a drink when you're stressed. Temporary relief is going to the strip club, spending a couple dollars on some strippers. Temporary relief is going out here having a casual sex fling with the girl you don't even care about, but you just want to fuck something so you can feel some power. You want to go out here and manipulate some person because you feel like you lost power in other areas of your life. That's why people bully people. That's why people chastise people and harass people and criticize people, because they feel powerless in their own situation. So if they feel like they have power over another human being, that gives them temporary satisfaction, which is a distraction from the pain or the anguish or the frustration that they feel dealing with other parts of their life. That's how that shit is working at the end of the day as far as these relationships go. But as women, right, who go out here and, I don't know, live their lives trying to be the best version of themselves. For men, they go out here and do all of these flips. And I can say this because I used to be this woman. I used to be the woman that wanted to be perfect for a man and go out here and be the wife material and cook and clean and be physically perfect and eat and exercise right and go out here and just be the best version of myself I could be. And no matter how many times I changed myself, no matter how many times I would have the behavior that was expected of me, or no matter how many flips that I did for these men, you cannot satisfy a man who is broken on the inside. There's emptiness on the inside. There is something that needs to be filled. There's a hole that needs to be filled that you can't fill no matter how many flips you jump. And a lot of times men will make women believe, well, I couldn't change for her, I decided to change for another woman. No, it's not the women that's going out here that's changing these men, okay? A man isn't meeting one woman and then suddenly meeting another and that woman is the reason why he's changing. No, he's just maturing naturally. Like there's something going on with him that's making him ready to even be open enough to allow a woman to be in his life where he's treating her differently from the way he's treated other females. Now, don't get it twisted, okay? We can evoke a positive behavior out of someone, but when someone has a habit of doing things, or someone has this deep-rooted issue that is difficult for them to no longer, partake in, no woman nowhere can make a man suddenly just decide to stop having this habit. If he has a habit of drinking and smoking, that's what he's going to do, regardless to the woman in his life telling him, yo, hun, I don't want you to drink. I don't want you to smoke. Until he's ready to discontinue drinking and smoking, he's going to keep doing it. It's the same thing with promiscuity, with lying and cheating. These men are not going to go out here and stop lying and cheating until they're ready to stop lying and cheating. They're not going to just stop. They're going to stop when they feel like it. And whoever happens to be in close proximity of them when they decide to make this change change is the woman they end up with. It has nothing to do with whether this woman is special or if this woman is different. It just happens to be that she was in close proximity. And a lot of women want to feel like they're the special one. They're the one that made that man different or made him make a different choice. No, he just decided that he was done and he got tired or bored of the other behaviors that he had, and now he wants something different. That's all it is. But a lot of women want to feel like it's them, and it's not. But men will make you believe that. Men will make women think this. Men want women to worship the ground that they walk on. That's what men want. Men want to control women. And so far, society has allowed men to do this. And it's women out there, like, say, for instance, K. Michelle. K. Michelle was just on Frank Ski morning show in Atlanta with Derek Jackson. And K. Michelle was just talking about Nicole Murphy. And if you don't know the story of Nicole Murphy is Eddie Murphy's ex-wife. And she just got out of a relationship with Michael Strahan. And she was in Italy on business and ran into a movie director named Antoine Fuqua, who's married to this actress named Lela Rochon. So they end up taking pictures of Nicole Murphy and Antoine Fuqua kissing at the pool. And again, like I just said, Antoine Fuqua is married to Lela Rochon. So all of this backlash happened, and Nicole Murphy was chastised, of course, for kissing a married man. But instead of them going in on Antoine Fuqua for him being the one who's in the committed marriage, for him being the piece of shit, lying ass nigga that he is, media enabled him like they do every other man who participates in that behavior, because everyone wants to believe that these men are liars and cheaters, and women know this. And when they participate in this type of behavior, they are enabling men when they allow themselves to be mistresses and side chicks, right? So that's just an enabling thought. You know, a woman who believes that is enabling men. You're not putting enough standard and requirements on men for them to want to be different. You have to not deal with them at all. See, whether you're a mistress or a wife, either way, it doesn't matter. Both of y'all are getting fucked over. So whether you're the mistress who's sleeping with this man, or the wife who's knowing that her husband is sleeping with another woman, both of you are enablers. It doesn't make one woman better than the other. So here's K. Michelle on Frank Ski's morning show, and she's chastising Nicole Murphy because Nicole Murphy went on to Wendy Williams' show and basically gave Lela Rochon this smug ass apology, which was terrible. I wish she just wouldn't have said anything. She should have just been quiet. But she supposedly gave Lela Rochon this apology for kissing Antoine Fuqua, and I'm like, well, I hope Antoine Fuqua apologized to Lela Rochon, because that's really the main person that needs to apologize, because he's the one married. He's the one that should be, running away from any woman who isn't his wife. He's the one that made the commitment. He's the one that's made the promise, the lifelong promise of partnership to his wife. Nicole didn't make that promise to Lela Rochon. Nicole, to me, and any woman who has been a side chick, I know that's right, side chick or mistress, you can't expect these women to have a level of respect for your marriage when your own husband doesn't even have it. 9 times out of 10, if a woman is in a place that's as low as, let me be a side chick or a mistress, there is something going on with her that she's hiding. I've said this before. When I was a side chick, right? When I decided to be a side chick many, many moons ago, I decided this because I had been cheated on so much that I was so tired of being like the wife, the sitting in the house waiting for my boyfriend to come home, just being lied to and manipulated. I was in no position to be loving anyone else because I was sitting there insecure in myself. So I was barely responsible for my own shit. There was no way in the world I could turn around and look at somebody else's marriage and somebody else's relationship and try to have take responsibility for that relationship as well. And a lot of times women will look at another woman like, yo, you should have looked out for me. Like, bitch, would you have looked out for me? Would you have looked out for me? If the shoe was on the other foot, okay, and I need something from you as a sister, would you have looked out for me? 9 times out of 10, no. We as women know, right, that black sisterhood is one of those things that's oh my God, so fragile and so frail. And it's a lot of women out here that don't even respect the sisterhood. And we're not just talking about cheating or sleeping with each other, man. We just talking about a whole bunch of other shit that don't even have nothing to do with men. That's part of the black sisterhood. And women are not sitting here following behind that at all. We're not looking out for each other like we're supposed to at all. We're barely supporting each other. We see another chick, or we like her shoes, her hair, or something like that. But instead of uplifting her, we sitting here trying to drag her in the process out of jealousy. This is what's happening with black sisterhood. That's what's happening. So forget fucking each other, man. Like, to me, listen, I don't put enough value on men like that to give a fuck. That's number one. Number two, bitch, don't try to take my man. That's the lowest you can do. If anything, you need to be trying to boss up how I do. Bitch, try to get the type of property I got. Try to take the businesses I got. Not take the businesses, but start your own business. Start going out here getting more properties, getting more money than I got. You taking my man is nothing. That's like the bottom of my priority list. So when women get so upset because some woman took their man, it's like, bitch, you don't have anything else in your life that's more valuable than some man you're screwing. Like, we have a lot of long-lasting friendships and relationships with family members, relatives, and friendships that are, we have those types of strong bonds with people all over the place. You could have a strong bond with your children, or a strong bond with, your best friend, someone you went to college with, or someone that you met that was a coworker, and you two have this strong bond with each other. We're consistently building relationships with each other as we get older. That's just what we do. How come the only relationship that women tend to put like all of these bells and whistles on is a marriage or their relationship with a man? Like, that's not the most important relationship that you're going to have. I promise you. Like, out of all of the relationships, or all of the friendships, and all of the love and care that you receive, all of the support, your relationship with your husband or your boyfriend may seem like it's the most important, but it's not. I'm here to tell you that it's not, because those relationships can fall apart just like any other relationship. To me, all relationships are created equal. I can have a strong bond with my mother, a better strong bond with my mother than I have with a man, or I can have a better, stronger bond with my sister than I can have with my husband or wife or boyfriend. I said wife, boyfriend. So I just feel like out of all of the relationships that could bring so much satisfaction, how come women put so much focus on men that they're sleeping with? Oh, I know why. Because men have programmed and brainwashed women to believe that these relationships with men, as classified as husbands or wives, husbands or boyfriends, are more important than any other relationship that we have. No, chick. No. And this goes back, I'm sorry, I kind of digressed a little bit with K. Michelle. But K. Michelle is one of those women where she's experienced a lot of negativity with men. And this is what she was expressing to Frank Ski and Derek Jackson on this radio show. And I was like, well, a lot of us have been through a lot of negative things with men. And men need to be chastised a lot more than they are. And so Derek brought something to K. Michelle's attention, and mine as well, that K. Michelle was sitting here saying there was some negative things about the man that she's currently dating. And she was just talking about how men are liars, and she was just saying the negative things in regards to her man, right? But what Derek Jackson said is, K. Michelle is still sitting up here with this same man she's speaking so negatively about. Why is she still putting up with the foolishness? That's what I don't understand. How are you in the position of being a girlfriend or wife, and you see that your man is a piece of shit, but instead of you getting out of the relationship or holding him accountable for that, anytime he decides to be a piece of shit, and the woman that he cheats on you with, or the woman that he's lying to you about being with, you tend to chastise that woman and classify her as the enabler, when both of y'all are enabling the man. Both of them. If you a wife and a girlfriend, or a wife or a girlfriend, and you find out that your man, your husband, your boyfriend or whatever is cheating on you, leave him. Don't put up with it and then get mad at the chick for sleeping with him or kissing him or taking money from him or whatever the case may be. Because if he's disrespecting your relationship, do not expect these side chicks and mistresses to respect your relationship. He isn't even doing it. Somebody has to be responsible. Somebody has to be the mature person inside of your marriage. And if it's neither one of you, your relationship is toxic. Your marriage is toxic. If neither one of you are taking responsibility or putting your foot down to say, this is a bad thing. This is something that shouldn't be happening. This is hurting me. This is causing me harm. This is negative. If no one's saying that, then why do you expect someone outside of your marriage to say that? You have to be a reflection of your own situation. If you are as good of a woman as you claim you are, you would not put up with bullshit. Period. You're not going to put up with it. You're just going to leave the situation. Okay? Wherever you stand. Wherever you stand, if you're a mistress, right, a lot of mistresses get benefits that they enjoy. A lot of mistresses out there, whether you like it or not, it's women out there that feel completely fine with being a side chick and a mistress. Okay, because I remember when I was doing it, I was completely fine with my position. I didn't want to be promoted. I didn't want for him to do anything other than what he was doing. I didn't want him to marry me. I didn't want to be his girlfriend. I didn't want him to give me money. All I wanted to do was sit down, drink with him, have sex with him, go out to the bar, go out, play pool, do things together like that. That's all we did. Sit down and go to the park, sit down and talk. That's all we did. That's it. That's all we did. I wasn't expecting more from him. I wouldn't. Okay? Played my position. And this was many, many moons ago. And like I said, I felt comfortable with it because of my own insecurities, my own shit I was dealing with that had nothing to do with nobody else but me. So you can't expect as a woman and think you're a good woman looking at another woman blaming her for what's happening inside of your relationship when you don't even have the courage to hold your own man accountable, but you expect for people to have a level of respect for you more than they have a respect for a mistress. I put it like this. I don't have a respect for a mistress, right? Well, who am I to judge? Because I was a mistress before, right? And I don't have respect for wives and girlfriends who sit there with their husbands and boyfriends and allow them to cheat. Allow them to kiss on other women. Allow them to have sex with other women when they know they feel uncomfortable with it. Now, if they have an open marriage and that's what they do inside of their marriage, inside of their relationship, that's what's up. But don't be the bitch that's sitting out here complaining about how bad your man treats you and how much he cheats and lies and then turn around and get mad at some woman when you should have just left his ass. So if you are as good as the woman that you claim you are, trust me, you'll be able to find a better man than the one that you got. But you got to be open to that, and you got to stop putting up with bullshit out of desperation and loneliness. You can't just sit up in a relationship and just sit there and, give this man you're with chance after chance after chance after chance. No, you need to let them know that you don't play that shit. You're not playing that shit. You're not playing that. You need to let them know that. And if they think it's a game and they don't, value you and they want to keep, doing the bullshit that they're doing, don't sit there and just wait for them to decide when they want to stop fucking you over and start treating you better. No! Why would you let somebody else control your happiness like that? You have to decide. You have to have unconditional happiness for yourself. You got to be like, I'm going to be happy in this situation regardless. But I can tell you like this, if you keep trying to distract me and throw me off of, my level of happiness, my oneness, I'm going to get rid of you. Like if you want to be a problem, okay, when you see all I'm trying to do is be happy and drama free, but you want to continue to be a problem, you want to keep bringing problems into our marriage or into our relationship, you got to go. Because I got some shit I'm trying to focus on that includes me being happy and drama free. If you're not trying to do that, then we don't need to rock with each other. That's what women need to start doing. More women. And once you start putting your foot down saying, listen, I'm not going to be a mistress or a side chick, and I'm not about to sit up here and be the married chick or the girlfriend that's being cheated on. I'm going to be none of that shit. Once all women decide that's what they're going to do, men will stop doing the fuck shit that they're doing. But we have to come together and do that. We got to come together and be that. Because if we don't be that, then they're going to keep doing what they're doing, regardless of color. It doesn't matter what color they are. Yeah, black men have the proclivity to do more dirt than any other man on this planet. They go out here and they talk the worst about African American women like we are the worst because they don't sit down and take accountability for the stuff that they do. They don't. And most men are taught that. Most men are taught that women are the blame for everything. So I'm not surprised that black women are inside of this country looking like we're the worst type of women ever, when really that's not who we are. That's not who we are most of the time. And of course, you're not going to see the stories of the positive women. They're not going to shine as bright as the stories that they put emphasis on that are so negative. Of course, they want to have the videos of the black women acting ratchet and disrespectful and cruel and ugly. Of course, they're going to put emphasis on that. Of course, even if you barely, like say for instance, even if you barely have like picture bitch fit. Let's say for instance, you are nice 90% of the time, and then something happens where you got to step out of pocket because somebody trying you, and you only do it 10% of the time. Guess what they're gonna focus on? That 10%. That 10%. That's what they do. They focus on the 10%. They make it seem like women have got to be perfect across the board. We can't display that 10%. We can't act like we're angry. We can't act like we're mad. They're going to think we're crazy. We can't show emotion. You know why men feel uncomfortable with women showing emotion, showing anger, showing whatever? Because they've been taught that women are too emotional and that we aren't allowed to do too much of that, because if we do, we're crazy. But they have these emotions as well. They've just been taught to suppress them. Meanwhile, they hurting on the inside. They on the inside hiding every little insecurity, fear, every bit of sadness and grief and sorrow. And they burying that shit under their ego, under their arrogance, trying to break fly and shit and pretend like they don't feel nothing. That's what men do. Because they've been taught that. They've been taught that they aren't allowed to display their emotion. So anytime a woman does it, first of all, there's got to be a level of jealousy there with men to where they got to feel some type of way that women can go out here and cry whenever, and people will just be like, oh, it's a woman, she's crying, and that's what they expect. I mean, even though that feels, bad to us as women, because anytime we get mad or we cry, somebody automatically thinks we're PMSing or some shit like that. So it feels bad to us too when we cry and people look at us a certain way because we're crying or because we're feeling negative. But men gotta be jealous of the fact that it's a little bit more acceptable for a woman to go out here and be sad and feel some type of way. I know men gotta feel some type of way about that. Like, men gotta be jealous a little bit that women could just be a little bit more vulnerable than they can. Because I'm telling you, not every man want to sit down around and try to act like he's Superman all the time. They're human beings too. They got weaknesses. They got times where they don't feel good. They got times where they don't want to go to work. They got times where they feeling insecure. They got times where they just don't want to do shit but lay around and scratch their balls. But a lot of times they can't act like that. So it's the same thing with men and women. We feel the same things. We get angry. We get upset. We get sad. But having that transparency takes a lot of bravery, because the people that don't have enough bravery to show that will chastise you, and you cannot be afraid of that. Like, I'm not about to be sitting up here with the man that I'm dating, right? And I'm asking him to chill out on the negativity, or I'm asking him to chill out on the disrespect, and he telling me I'm asking for too much. No, nigga, I must apparently be asking the wrong motherfucker. It ain't that what I'm asking for is too much. If I have standards and requirements and you just can't meet them, don't try to convince me that my standards and requirements are just a tad bit too high. No. You are just a trick, okay? Like, you are a problem. And you just don't want to put forth the energy I require in order to be with me. Women women have to understand that and stop allowing men to make them think that they aren't as wonderful and as good as they are when they're trying to get these men to live up to their standards. If a man is not doing what you require in order for you to have a happy life, you are asking the wrong motherfucker to do whatever it is that you want done. Okay? Because a man who wants you to be happy, or a man that wants you in his life, he's not going to lie to you. He's not going to manipulate you. He's not going to hear you asking for something that you want. And then he's not going to be the one to convince you after you ask that what you're asking for is too much. No. I'm not saying men need to go around here and spoil unreasonable women rotten. But what I am saying is that as your man, he should feel comfortable with being the best version of himself for you, just like you should feel that way for him. So the moral of the story is simple. If you are the good black woman that you think you are, you ain't gonna have to beg no man. You ain't gonna have to get revenge on no man. You ain't gonna have to convince no man. You ain't gonna have to jump through hoops for no man. You're not going to have to do any of that. You're not going to have to sit here and blame other women for enabling your man when he cheats on you. You'll realize that your ass is an enabler too if you staying with him, putting up with the shit. That's a good black woman. That's a good woman in general. And if you are as amazing as you think you are, when these men break up with you, or they lie, or they cheat on you, or blah, 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 trust me, they will regret it. Regret it. Let them regret their poor choices and move on to a better person. That's the moral of the story. I appreciate you listening. Listen. I am supposed to be uploading on my channel, youtube.com/Soncerae fan, but I haven't felt like recording lately. I've been writing my blogs, and I appreciate those who read my blogs. You guys are amazing because, you keep my hits up on my blog, man. My blog is like so popular right now. It's actually more popular than my YouTube channel. I love it. People watch my YouTube channel, but people be reading my WordPress blog. And the reason why I decided to start writing so many entries in it to begin with is because I'm building an audience over there so I can start selling my books. And I remember a couple of years back, I was going to put out this book called Unicorn Atlanta. And I retracted the book so I could rewrite the book and take out some things that I had in there. And for some reason, the book has never flowed right without the person in there that I was writing about. So I might have to just keep him in there, because every time I try to remove him, I can't get it to flow right. And it's been 3 years now. So I'm starting to think that maybe he's just supposed to stay in the book, because I was just going to pull him out because I don't want the drama associated with his ass, because he's a real person. Like, if he was a fictional character, then maybe like if I didn't have to use his likeness in the book, I don't know. I think I just got to think about it. I got to think about what I want to do with that still. And I've just been thinking about it and pondering and thinking about it. So I'm probably still going to put out Unicorn Atlanta. I just have to figure out what I'm going to do. The book was about how I was introduced to another type of relationship. And it has to do with me when I decided to be a mistress. And it's an entertaining story, and I just want to talk about what I learned from it and the positive things that I learned about friendship and relationships and my sexuality while dealing with this specific man. And that's what that book was going to be about, because I don't regret the experience, and a lot of people feel like I should regret the time when I was a mistress, but it served its purpose. It was something that I needed at that time, and it was something that he had needed. He was going through a marriage that was terrible for him. He wasn't happy, And he didn't trust his wife, and she had cheated on him. Like, when I met him, they weren't married yet. They were just in a relationship. And she had supposedly cheated on him in the relationship, and he was just not happy in it. And she was never around. She was a flight attendant, so she was never there. And so it just, we needed each other to serve whatever purpose that we had then. And so that's what the book is about. And it also talks about spirituality and metaphysics and how it's relative to that situation. And so it's a good book. It's just, I'm trying to figure out either how to write him out of it, which is hard. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. But anyway, that's why I started writing more blogs. Writing is my true passion. That's the first passion that I had, writing. And then, of course, singing and art and painting and, of course, video editing and all of those things. They are things that I enjoy to do. They were hobbies that ended up generating income for me. And, of course, I want to continue to, indulge in my books and my, just my hobbies, the things that I'm good at. I definitely want to put emphasis on those things and my perspective of reality. That's why my blog is called Read My Mind, because the way that I think stuff it's very different. It's like my perspective of reality is very, very different from the average person. I'm just a different type of person. And those who have come into my life and appreciated my diversity and haven't judged me because of how different I am are the people that I appreciated. And the guy that I ended up being a mistress to, he didn't judge me. At least he didn't allow me to believe that. And so when we were together doing our, dirt, I never looked at him as like this bad person. I just was like, he's going through something. That's how I used to look at him. And so when time went on and I realized that he was just looking at me as if I was like some hoe, or he was just allowing everybody else to believe I was just this hoe he didn't care about, it was like typical. Because that's what men are taught to do to women who go out here and aren't judgmental towards them and go out here and fulfill their sexual fantasies. Because he had a lot of sexual fantasies, and one of his sexual fantasies I fulfilled. And sometimes I regret it, but then sometimes I don't, because it's like, well, I tried it and I didn't like it, and I'll probably never do it again. But anyway, that's what's the book is about. And the type of person that I am and grown to be, even though I may not be accepted by certain people, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love who I am, like to the core. And it's nothing anybody else can do outside of me to make me have any less love for myself. Because when I look in the direction of another human being, I know that they got some secrets. I know that they have mistakes that they made. I know that they have flaws as well. And I know that they kind of use me as a distraction from reflecting and doing self-improvement or self-reflection on themselves. So I try not to be as judgmental of them as they are of me. That's how my perspective of, other people is. We're all human beings out here, and we're all trying to live, meaningful lives and do things that we enjoy. So I really just don't want to be the person that's out here judging other people when I know, I've done my dirt. You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, I appreciate you listening to me. Make sure that you follow me on Instagram, The Real Soncerae. I appreciate that. And just make sure you keep reading my blogs and listening to my podcast. Maybe I'll start posting on YouTube more often, but honestly, I just really am not up for it. I don't know how many weeks I'm going to go without doing it. I'm under contract, so I can't necessarily delete my YouTube channel. And I don't think I want to delete my YouTube channel. I just want to take a break. And I want to take a long break too. I don't want to take like a week or two. I want to take a break. And so hopefully, the people who are loyal to me, you guys will just listen to my podcast and listen to my Spreakers and read my blogs and stuff, and just show me support that way. And you can still email me video topic suggestions or get some type of counseling from me at soncerae@gmail.com. I appreciate the support, y'all. Have vision and stay focused.